Hello, and welcome back. I am Lord Revonworc, and this is Civilization 5 Vote for Pedro, I think it's called. I haven't been on the internet in a while, or at least I haven't been uploading to YouTube in a while. And I do have a good excuse for that. And that good excuse is school. Okay, look, I have pretty...
Three things are to be looked to in a building. That it stand on the right spot, that it be securely founded, that it be successfully executed.
Okay, so I have a pretty busy school week this semester. It's It's 16 credits. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Don't sign up for 16 credits in a single semester. It will not turn out well for you. Yeah, and because of the busy work week, the only time I'm really free to record is over the weekend. Problem is, that's also the time that I need to go out of my way to work on my schoolwork, you know? And okay, so what should we go for next here? Are there any improvements we could do? We could try to get trapping, improve those furs. Of course, with these barbarians, that would be an issue. Also, sorry if the sound quality is not great. I noticed when I did my sound test before this recording session, sound quality wasn't sounding great from my mic. I don't know why, I don't know how to fix it. I don't really have time to try and find a solution, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. You know what? We have a coastal city now. Should we do sailing? No, let's do trapping. There are no coastal resources. So, yeah, the real time sink that I have to deal with is, let's grab a monument. Is my Java 3 class. For those of you who aren't aware, I'm a computer science major. I'm going into programming. I actually want to become a game designer. And for what it's worth, I am actually pretty good at programming. That being said, yeah, you're just gonna get attacked next turn. Let's get you in the city. That being said, Java 3 is a rough class. The whole course is about abstract data types, ADTs. Which are ways to store data in a manner that they have a specific way they can be used, but are programmed so complexly that the users don't get to know how the data is stored because they don't need to. I'm not describing this very well. My professor could describe it way better. He's good at teaching. I've had a few bad professors, and this one does know how to teach. Though there are some other things about him I find somewhat... But whatever, I'm not here to talk about my professor. Yeah, we need more money. Jesus, how does Elizabeth have 400? Is it because of the high difficulty setting? I'll bet it's because of the high difficulty setting. Okay, those guys look like they're coming around to try and attack my workers, so... Let's see about moving the spearmen closer to them. And... Okay, lost out on the Great Lighthouse. Probably wasn't going to get it anyways. We just now got a coastal city.
Even brute beasts and wandering birds do not fall into the same traps or nets twice.
Ooh. So, okay. Here's the thing about my Java 3 class. I wasn't really having a rough time for most of it. As I've said, I'm a fairly good programmer for someone who's still in training. However, the problem was the past 2 weeks, the homework assignments just got really rough. So, well, the past 2 weeks before the last week, that is. Never mind. The point... What is the point? So, the past few weeks, we were introduced to a new way of formatting data. It was the binary search tree. Now, the binary search tree itself is not an ADT. It's sort of the how-to, the innards of a data structure. And the whole concept of a binary search tree is to make searching for specific things in an ADT easier. So, one of the most basic data structures in just about any programming language is an array. This is just you allocate just a chunk of memory. Memory is like a series of addresses in memory, and you can just look stuff up by putting in an address. And so the way an array works is there's an address for the start of the array, along with some data having to do with length, and depending on the language, maybe type as well. But you've got the address for the start of the array and the length, and so you can just get to a specific index in that array by just adding a number to the start of the array, and that'll give you a specific memory cell in the array. And so they're easy to use, easy to program. But the problem is, if you have a really long array and you want to find a specific value within that array, you just have to go through the entire thing piece by piece. Okay? And that can take a while. Even for computers, if it's large enough. Oh, I might need to call it a night early. And one of the other major data structures that we were taught in that class, the linked list, which was aimed at getting around some of the array's other flaws, sort of suffers from that same issue. If you want to find a specific value in a linked list, you have to go through every element one by one. The point of the binary search tree is so that you don't have to go through every single thing in the data structure. See, the way it works is, first of all, everything needs to be sorted, or else you lose the whole point of a binary search tree. Because just iterating through every single bit in a binary search tree is harder than doing it for an array or a linked list. But if you know what you're looking for, and you know the thing is sorted, and if the tree starts in the middle, you can... Oh, god damn it. Could you guys give me a little bit? And I will take underestimating how long you can hold it in for 500, Alex. Oh, dear shit. No pun intended. Yeah, that was unpleasant, to say the least. Okay, we're losing money, so make a wall. Those are cheap. Oh! Hooray! People are building wonders. Wall. So, where was I? Binary search trees? Oh, look at that! Elizabeth has settled near me.
Would you be interested in a trade agreement with England?
Yeah, let's do it. I think I only have one spice. Oh, no. Ah, the other one completed. I mean, that was...
Mathematics is the gate and key to the sciences.
That was a lot of money. I'm just going to take it when it's a lot of money. So what should this guy do next? He should repair some of the raised stuff. So binary search trees. The bonus they provide is they make searching for things really easy. It's like a phone... No, wait, that's a terrible example. I was going to say phone book, but nobody uses phone books anymore. It's like... You guys still use dictionaries, right? Like physical books? I mean, sure, I just use online dictionaries most of the time, but... I mean, come on, you've got to have actually used like a physical book before as a dictionary, right? I mean, there's no way they could fall out of use entirely. Currency, we're losing money. Well, okay, we're not anymore because of a trade agreement, but I don't want to rely on other civilizations for money. Especially not ones that I serially distrust. Yeah, binary search trees, what it is rather than starting at, say, the top of a list, or the beginning of a list, like an array or a linked list would, binary search trees start in the middle, and they're sorted. Which means if you're looking for a specific thing, you can just compare it to, oh, that does not bode well. Catholicism in France. You can compare the thing you're searching for with the middle object. It's called the root of the tree. Because, you know, trees start at the root and then they branch out. So you just compare what you're looking for to the root, and you'll immediately know whether the thing you're looking for is greater than or smaller than the root. Or like if it goes to the left or to the right of it. And so just by looking at a single element, you can completely eliminate half of the entire search. So, yeah, it's like looking words up in a dictionary in that sense. You can just start in the middle, you know that it's all alphabetized. So, you know what, there's no point in explaining the analogy. So, yeah, binary search trees are really great for sorted searches. Let's get the mausoleum, that's worth money too. And hope that nobody gets it from us. So yeah. Binary search trees, really useful. The main problem with them, though, is that they are hard as shit to program. We're talking, like, many hours to do it, even if you know what you're doing. And like I said, I claim to be a good programmer for someone who's still a student. I did not go into those search trees knowing what I was doing, at least not entirely. And one of the things, if there are any other novice programmers out there, one of the things that are integral to making binary search trees work, that are incredibly difficult to program, is recursion. Oh, Carnival. Nice. So, recursion. What is it? It's when you program functions in your program to call themselves. Yeah, because in order to actually construct a search tree, or to, like, count the amount of elements in a search tree, or something to that respect, you need to check both the left and the right of the root. But then you get 2 more items, you get 2 more nodes, and you have to search the left and the right of that, of each one of those. And so as the further down in the tree you go, the more branches you have to deal with. And so you need to be able to create functions that call themselves twice, once for each direction they need to go in. Because you cannot program a single function to do something like that on its own, or at least, if there is a way to do that, I do not know what it is. I'm sure if I had enough time and enough interest I could come up with it, but trust me, recursion is just better. But it is very, very confusing, because you really need to get into the mindset of what's going to happen when you call this function within itself. And that is the kind of thing that is really hard to wrap your head around. And, I mean, there are other issues with binary search trees that make them, like, hard to wrap your head around aside from just recursion. Like, for instance, what happens when you remove a node from there? Removing a node is easy in other data structures. Well, sort of. I mean, removing things is always one of the more complex things in any data structure. But, I mean, with an array, depending on how you're using the array, the most most complex thing you're likely to ever do when removing something from an array is just shift data over. Maybe you might want to resize the array, which actually means creating an entirely new array and copying everything over. But even so, those are more or less simple tasks. It's just copying and pasting. Copying and pasting, you know? With the linked list, removing stuff is even easier. Because linked lists are just a bunch of nodes that link to each other. And if you want to remove one node, all you have to do is take the thing that links to the removed node and just link it to whatever the removed node points to. That is way easier to do than, like, shifting or resizing an array. And it's basically just as simple. With binary search trees, however, you have to take into account, if you remove a node, what happens to all the branches underneath it? Okay? And keep in mind you have 2 directions that you need to account for. What do you do with the left side, and what do you do with the right side? I mean, you'd think one of them you would just replace the removed node with, which takes a little bit of juggling, but then what do you do with the other side? I mean, you have to attach it somewhere. You can't just lose an entire branch of a tree because you remove a single node. And then there are other things that make it difficult. Is just little eccentricities that Java has programmed directly into it. Like for instance, using object as an input value for some of the remove commands. To explain the relevance of that, there are two kinds of data in Java. You've got primitive types, which are basically just data stored directly to memory, and then you have pointers, things that point to other things, which potentially point to other things. Ah, shit. How did I forget what they call those? Reference items. When you're creating a data structure in Java, it's always going to be a reference item. Because, I mean, you can't just make new primitive types. It has to be a reference type. And all reference type items in Java are of a subset of type known as object. Any class that you can create in Java is a type of object. Therefore, if you're searching for... Actually, you know what? I think I should probably leave the discussion where it is, because I am running out of time to record, and this conversation is going to take a while. Let me just say that it's complex and difficult, and I had to deal with binary search trees for 2 weeks, which left me like no time to record. But I'm done with them now. Hopefully. I didn't have to deal with them the last week, so I had time to record for this week. So that's good. Anyways, I am Lord Revonworc. This has been great, especially the whole me bitching about my life. And I will see you all later. Bye!